Welcome to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. Google announced, I believe on Monday or Tuesday of this week, that they will be phasing out the Google One VPN service that launched back in 2020, which is weird because I thought it had been around longer than that, but apparently not, according to everything I've read in the article I'm going to link here. It started in 2020, and this was part of the Google One service, very similar to Apple's kind of all-in-one service where you get all these different things that Google offers, and the VPN was part of that. But they are saying that they are going to be shutting it down, citing a lack of user interest. Not enough people were using it, and so rather than continue to maintain it, they are just going to go ahead and shut it down. They haven't specified a date, but they have said later in 2024. So you would assume that that's probably Q3, Q4 of this year. The Google One VPN service will go away. Will join many other apps in the Google graveyard. Now, many people I've seen have reacted to this by saying, well, that's no surprise. I don't know anybody sensible who would trust Google for a VPN because we don't trust them with their data. And that's certainly a valid perspective, and it's not as if Google has been seen in the last, decade or so as the most trustworthy company. I think in the early days of Google search, most people weren't as aware of user privacy and data monetization as they are now. People were just delighted to have a search engine that was amazing and was, at the time, better than anything else. That also has changed radically in recent years. So there definitely is a component where user trust in Google when it comes to their data security probably was never going to be all that high to begin with. I wasn't even aware. I think I probably knew this thing was part of Google One, but I don't have Google One. And I don't think at any point would I trust Google for a VPN. I just don't put them into a high category of user trust. Although I do think that there has been some hyperbole and some over-exaggeration of what Google does with data security. And it certainly has gotten better. But still, that would not be the first name that I would think of in association with a VPN. But regardless, I think there's a secondary thing. And the Ars Technica article that I am linking here mentions a component of this, which is where they talk about the fact that this VPN was notoriously buggy. And that's the other side, not the bugginess specifically, but I think that's another angle, and I've talked about this before in different ways, of a loss of trust in Google. Not even just the data privacy and user data security part, and that is there, but also that people have looked at Google and they don't really believe that their products are going to stick around. They don't have faith that Google will maintain something to a very high standard or for a very long amount of time. And canceling something after 4 years, citing a lack of usage when there are numerous reports that you can find of how buggy it is, that people are saying, please fix this, people who were using it, and the fact that Google didn't seem to do all that much to reassure people that this was a really secure VPN. And there's a combination of things that to me made it where this thing was never going to succeed. One is what I mentioned earlier in the 5, the idea that people don't really trust Google with their data, but also that people don't trust Google with apps that they really depend on. And that is an increasingly bad problem that I don't think Google has done all that much to address. There is a fundamental lack of faith in Google to be able to maintain something outside of course, the tentpole apps, Gmail, search, those types of things, where there is simply too much money and too much usage, and there would be too much disruption if those things went away. But anything short of those, YouTube, of course, that type of stuff, anything beyond that, I think even average users at this point don't think of Google as a really reliable company. Certainly not in the way that if you tell somebody, oh, this is a Microsoft product, or this is an Apple product, or a number of other names, that they will have more of an ability to trust that whatever this thing they're buying or using is going to be around for years. If you bring the word Google up into it, outside of things like, again, search or YouTube or Gmail, I don't know that people even have an awareness, let alone a lot of trust that Google is going to make something that will last. There are just too many products that have been canceled. There has been too little real awareness on what Google does well outside of, again, the tentpole services. And even there, not always sure that holds up, but let's say it does. So this was a particularly risky proposition for Google from the get-go. I really just don't think this was ever going to last. Not even if it had worked flawlessly, I don't know that there would have been a lot of adoption of it, because Google is just not a name that you synonymize with data security. Synonymize the right way to use that? It's not a synonymous name with data security. So am I shocked that this thing is gone? Not even a little bit. Later.